We begin the news with security concerns. Nigerians must shun political party differences and rise up to the task of solving the nation's security challenges collectively. This was the position of the Inter-Party Advisory Council at a press conference tagged "Let's Talk Politics."
Every political leader should be held accountable for inactions or actions that is either directly perpetrated by him or his troop or his followers.
This gathering of like minds is premised on one agenda: politics without violence. Participants believe that there is no alternative to peace and reminded the political class that the task of ensuring a peaceful Nigeria is a collective responsibility.
Ensure that everybody says that which is right and verifiable.
Everything must be done to de-emphasize violence. Again, this will not produce good leadership in the land.
Embrace the opportunities available in the political space of this country to be able to stand up and have a voice.
While urging the youth to remain as agents of change, considering their posture as future leaders, they must realize that politics is for development and not for perpetuating violence.
And what I can say to younger population: don't give up. You have to try in a more strident manner to keep trying.
It's for us to be encouraged to get involved so that not only in making good policies, but also to make sure that those policies are implemented.
The conference maintains that dialogue remains the best option for conflict resolution. In Abuja, Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
The Southeast Governors Forum has reiterated its support for restructuring state police and other issues as discussed in the last National Executive Council NEC meeting. Briefing journalists at the end of its meeting in Enugu, the forum also condemned the attack on the country home of the Imo State Governor, Senator Hope Uzodimma. Susan Eze has details.
The governors announced their resolutions in a communique presented by the chairman of the forum and governor of Ebonyi State, David Umahi.
Southeast governors and leaders reinstated the adoption of a common joint security outfit called Abuja. We mandated our Honorable Attorney Generals and Commissioner for Justice of the Southeast States to work with the Joint Security Committee to come up with the amendment of the existing state laws to reflect the new Abuja outfit.
Reiterating its support for restructuring, the forum stated that a committee has been set up to work out acceptable modalities, which would be submitted to the National Executive Council in the next meeting.
The meeting directed Ohanes Ndiwo, President, to immediately form two committees. One is Southeast Peace and Reconciliation Committee to engage our people for the peace and security of our people and our visitors, which means they can engage anybody.
Christian Association of Nigeria, Southeast Zone. We stand in solidarity with our governors, and we also want to partner with Ohanes Ndiwo in ensuring there is peace in Southeast Zone.
The governors agreed on the implementation of various NSAS youth empowerment programs in the Southeast as soon as possible. In Enugu, Susan Eze, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the Nigeria Governors Forum deeply sympathizes with Imo State Governor Senator Hope Uzodimma and those who were injured, maimed and murdered during the violent attack on the governor's country home. A statement by its chairman and governor of Ekiti State, Dr. Kayode Fayemi, says this is taking criminality to reckless and irresponsible heights and affirmed that all hands must be on deck to fish out the perpetrators of the dastardly act. The forum calls on all good citizens of Nigeria to cooperate with the nation's security forces and the government in trying to build a civil and safe environment for all and sundry. And elsewhere, Governor Bello Muhammad of Zamfara State says a new roadmap to ending the incessant security challenges bedeviling the state has been developed. He stated this while receiving a delegation of the Progressive Governors Forum on a sympathy visit over the recent loss of several lives occasioned by resurgent banditry in some parts of the state. Jamilu Ibrahim has more.
The recent successive attacks by armed bandits on some communities across Gusau, Bakura, Maradun and Maru local government areas of Zamfara state has resulted in the loss of several lives and wanton destruction of property. The delegation of the Progressive Governors Forum, comprising its chairman, Governor Abubakar Atiku Bagudu of Kebbi State, and his Jigawa State counterpart, Muhammad Badaru Abubakar, was at Zamfara State Government House Gusau to commiserate with the government and people of the state over the sad event. Governor Bagudu, who regretted the resurgence of armed banditry in some parts of Zamfara State, despite the concerted effort to end the menace, says the latest incident calls for re-strategizing by the security agencies and other critical stakeholders.
Please accept our heartfelt sympathies and condolences, and we pray that all those who have lost their life, may Allah grant them a Jannah al-Firdaus.
Zamfara State Governor Bello Muhammad thanked the Progressive Governors for the visit and informed them that a new roadmap to ending the lingering security challenges bedeviling the state has been developed.
It's more support from Mr. President and the security agencies to support the government, and any way we found necessary that we will tackle the issue that we have at hand.
Governor Muhammad also eulogized President Muhammadu Buhari for the deserved attention he gives to the ongoing effort to achieve lasting peace in Zamfara State. In Gusau, Jamilu Ibrahim, NTA News.
And still on Zamfara State government has shut down some 4 major markets and banned sales of petroleum in jerry cans in some troubled communities across the state. The State Commissioner for Information, Ibrahim Magaji Dosara, disclosed this while briefing NTA News on the resurgence of armed banditry in some parts of the state. Haliru Muhammad Umar reports.
The persistent banditry attacks on some communities of Zamfara State in recent time compelled the state government to shut down 4 markets, including that of Magami and Wanke in Gusau local government area, as well as Dansadaw and Dauran in Maru and Zurmi local government areas, respectively.
Those markets constitute the major threat and are within the flash areas of armed banditry in the state. So we deemed it necessary to close the markets, to reinforce security, to ensure the protection of lives and property.
The commissioner, who also announced a ban on sale of petroleum in jerrycans in the most troubled areas of the state, said the state government is disturbed by the senseless killings, maiming and general destruction of lives and property of the citizenry, assuring that frantic effort is being made to ensure the return of peace and security in the state. Ibrahim Dosara, who noted that 25 people were recently killed in some communities of Bakura and Maradun local government areas, however, said security personnel succeeded in killing 30 terrorists during a counter-attack.
Some people were killed, even though the stock taking of the casualties are still being conducted by the security men.
Meanwhile, the commissioner said normalcy has been restored in the communities affected by the latest attacks in Gusau local government area of the state. In Gusau, Halir Muhammad Umar, NTA News.
From Gusau, we take you to Bauchi, where Governor Bala Mohammed of Bauchi State has provided 50 patrol vehicles with state-of-the-art communication gadgets to fortify the operations of security agencies in Bauchi State. Muhammad Ibn Muhammad reports.
Essential to the operations of security agencies, these vehicles will be deployed for surveillance and swift response to dangers in the nooks and crannies of Bauchi State.
It's not only the police or the army or the major security agencies that would be dispensing policing and security of our communities. We should really work very hard to communicate and collaborate with the security agencies.
The logistics support has come at a good time, as this laudable gesture has capacity to serve as catalyst in our renewed vigor to fight crimes and criminality in the country.
With 16 allocated to the Nigerian police force and 4 to the Nigerian army, Other beneficiaries include the Nigerian Air Force, Department of State Security Services, and the Road Safety Corps amongst paramilitary and vigilante groups. In Bauchi, Mahmoud Ibn Muhammad, NTA News.
And from Yobe State, troops of Operation Lafia Dole on Operation Turata Kaibangu have eliminated 21 Boko Haram Islamic West Africa Province ISWAP terrorists in Gaidam, the headquarters of Gaidam local government area of Yobe State. A statement by the Director Army Public Relations, Brigadier General Muhammad Yarima, says the terrorists attack a strategic border town on the 23rd April 2021, destroyed 3 communications masts and looted some shops in the area. Troops stationed in the location with support from the air component of Operation Lafia Dole rapidly embarked on pursuit, killing 21 terrorists, recovered a gun truck with an anti-aircraft gun and several other arms. Brigadier General Yerima added that 3 soldiers that sustained injuries during the encounter are receiving medical attention and are in stable condition. 45 special duty cadets have been commissioned into the Nigerian Navy to shore up its manpower base. Minister of Defense, represented by Chief of Defense Staff General Loki Rabo, tasked the newly commissioned officers to brace up to the task of containing rising security infractions in Nigeria. Kinsley Amajiri reports.
The new officers who were before now ratings in the Nigerian Navy completed the Special Duty Pre-Commissioning Course 2020 for 6 months. They were chosen owing to their outstanding performance while in service. The training focused on security, professional, leadership and management, with practical demonstration cutting across navigation, seamanship, logistics, charting, among others.
The college was able to deliver on the objectives of each of the training package for the officer cadets.
Minister of Defense General Bashir Magashi, retired, challenged the special cadets to deploy the knowledge gained in contributing to the nation's fight against crime and criminality, especially in the maritime domain.
Our nation has in the last few years been challenged by asymmetric and emerging security threats in the form of kidnappings, economic sabotage, warranting the engagement of the armed forces of Nigeria across different theaters of operation. And be prepared to give necessary support to other security agencies when the need arises.
Another 1,170 ratings also passed out from the batch 30 trainees. 191 of them are females. The passing out parade provided the platform for the ratings and the new officers to demonstrate some of the practical skills acquired in the course of the training. In Port Harcourt, Kingsley Amajiri, NTA News.
This is the news at 10 on NTA News 24. We're taking a break. When we return, there will be more reports. Thank you for staying with us on the news at 10 on NTA News 24. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo on Sunday celebrated with the President of the Christian Association of Nigeria, Reverend Samson Olashukbo Ayokunle, as he winds down as President of the Nigerian Baptist Convention after a successful 10-year tenure. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports.
For the Nigerian Baptist Convention President, Reverend Samson Olashukbo Ayokunle, whose 10 years leadership is coming to an end, the fundamentals are focusing on plans and casting vision on a rock, as well as having a good team to actualize the dream. One of his achievements is the development of this massive convention ground. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo is here to celebrate with him and to the church.
The journey to the promise of God for Nigeria is going through storms and adversity, but the end will be better than the beginning. Weeping may endure for the night, but joy comes in the morning. And I am completely convinced that nobody, no group, no ideology can defeat the promise of God for the greatness of Nigeria.
It's a challenging time in Nigeria, but we must challenge our challenges. We must confront the issues confronting us. We must never turn back. We must be determined. In finishing the race with joy, we must be committed.
Moving forward and finishing with joy, as noted as this 108th annual Baptist Convention, requires commitment and endurance. With the firm belief of triumph over all challenges, be they of economy, health, and insecurity. To them, winning is not for those that will it or runneth. It is of the Lord that shows mercy. From the Baptist International Conference Center in Ogun State, Jude Onifade, NTA News.
Now, let's shift our attention to health. Nigeria is accelerating actions to drastically reduce the scourge of malaria by 2025. Minister of Health Dr. Osagi Ihanire gave the indication while speaking to the media in Abuja on efforts to combat malaria as the world marks World Malaria Day. Ekenendulwe reports.
Every 2 minutes, a child under 5 dies of malaria. 27% of global malaria cases comes from Nigeria, with 23% fatality rates. Yet, malaria is preventable and treatable. With the slogan, Stand Up, Take Action, Nigeria is using this year's World Malaria Day to accelerate actions required to end the scourge. Minister of Health, Dr. Osagi Ihanire, says the National Malaria Strategic Plan targets reduction of its prevalence in children to less than 10%.
We shall continue to work hard to ensure less than 10% parasite prevalence and reduce malaria mortality to less than 50 deaths per 1,000 live births by 2025.
Malaria is one disease that we must take seriously as a nation. It affects over 99% of Nigerians. It leads to death of our children and pregnant women.
Partner agencies took turns to reaffirm commitments to fight against malaria in Nigeria.
It's estimated that malaria causes a significant loss in economic growth and puts a strain on household finances.
We must stand up and take immediate action.
The gathering urges all Nigerians to take action against the disease by keeping their environments clean, sleeping under insecticide-treated nets, and getting tested and treated for malaria. In Abuja, Ekene Ndulwe, NTA News.
This year's World Malaria Day calls for collective actions against the scourge. Lending hands to the national efforts to end malaria in Nigeria is a non-governmental organization, Nation First Foundation, who took malaria intervention services to Jabi community in Abuja. Again, Ekenendulwe reports.
Stand up, take action is the slogan for this year's World Malaria Day in Nigeria. To contribute to the action against the disease, Nation First Foundation was at Jabi community to provide insecticide-treated mosquito nets, malaria tests, and drugs at no cost to the residents.
It is possible in Nigeria. That is why we are partnering with the Ministry of Health through the National Malaria Elimination Program to see how we can fight together to eliminate malaria out of Nigeria.
To achieve malaria elimination, each and every one of us in Nigeria must stand up and take action. In the area of adhering to malaria intervention, the aspect of prevention.
After some health talks, residents felt better poised to fight the disease.
Right now here, they have taught us a lot about malaria.
I learned how to take care of malaria by using nets.
Malaria accounts for more than 60% of hospital visits in Nigeria, 20% of under 5 mortality, and 11% of maternal mortality. The good news is that malaria is preventable and treatable. That is a major takeaway for this set of beneficiaries after a pep talk from the health practitioners.
how far are they going to implement what they learned here today? That remains to be seen. In Abuja, Ekene Ndulwe, NTA News.
Thank you so much, Ekene. I'm still talking malaria. The Nigeria Association of Women Journalists joins the rest of the world to mark Malaria Day, observed annually on April 25. In a statement by the president of NAWOJ, Ladibala, the association emphasizes the need for the federal government to develop a strong political will towards eliminating malaria and improve on primary health care system in the country to provide easy access to malaria prevention, diagnosis and treatment services. NAWOJ urges Nigerians, particularly pregnant women, to take personal responsibility to eliminate malaria in the country by sleeping under insecticide-treated nets and eliminate mosquito breeding sites by maintaining proper sanitation in the environment. The 2021 World Malaria Day is themed Zero Malaria. The slogan, Stand Up, Take Action, is a call to action for all stakeholders to reaffirm their commitment to malaria control and health in general. This is in line with the theme for this year's World Malaria Day, Zero Malaria. Draw the line against malaria. In this report, Basi Itaikbang takes a look at the effect of the pandemic on malaria interventions as Nigeria joins the world to mark another Malaria Day.
Malaria Day is aimed at creating awareness on the need for collective responsibility towards ending the devastating scourge that experts say is preventable with simple interventions as sleeping inside insecticide-treated nets, ensuring that suspected case of malaria is tested and, if positive, treated.
Every individual can do something important. Let's keep our environment clean. Let's avoid stagnant water.
I'm here to fight for children. How do you put a stop to this disease called malaria? By coming together to keep malaria from Africa and across Nigeria.
WHO report shows malaria remains a leading cause of morbidity and mortality in Nigeria.
It's a serious issue that we must all rise against it and ensure that we sensitize our members of the public that they must take responsibility over their health.
If we maintain a clean environment, fumigate our environment, Nigeria will be malaria-free and get that malaria-free declaration status by WHO.
What is even more worrisome, experts say, is that despite funding from government and partners, 44% of household out-of-pocket expenditure is on malaria.
Every year that we let malaria continue to spread, health and development suffer. Malaria is responsible for an average reduction of 1.3% in Africa's economic growth every year.
Although COVID-19 pandemic affected health systems across the globe, development partners, private sector, and government, experts say, should ensure access to life-saving and cost-effective interventions for each people. Basi Taipam, NTA News.
And on NCDC COVID-19 update, 35 new COVID-19 infections have been recorded nationwide within the last 24 hours, bringing the country's total confirmed cases to 164,719. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, indicates that among the new cases, Lagos has 18, Rivers 7, Oyo 6, FCT 2, while Ekiti and Kaduna states recorded a case each. Active cases nationwide are 7,732. Those discharged so far are 154,926, while the death toll is 2,062.